It's very seldom that I see an action movie that's truly able to connect with me, especially these days in a time when superhero movies dominate and the only sense of reality within them is perhaps one out-of-place joke in a highly climactic scene. So Leon the Professional was extremely refreshing. The star in this film was definitely Natalie Portman, playing a potty-mouthed little girl named Mathilda living in a crammed New York City apartment with her dysfunctional family. Before I get into things, it's important to point out that there really aren't very many limits in this film. And by that I mean there's no such thing as crossing the line in Leon the Professional. Natalie Portman may be a kid in this movie, but she certainly doesn't act like one. I was always on the edge of my seat because of what would happen next in the plot, because I understood that there were no lines to cross because the filmmakers didn't draw one. It's often the best films that do this because it makes the plot a lot more flexible and unpredictable. Now anyways, Leon the Professional begins following the life of an off-color little girl named Mathilda. She smokes cigarettes in her free time and hasn't gone to her boarding school for weeks. Her family is very dysfunctional, and her father in particular is extremely abusive to Mathilda. It's made clear early on that Mathilda, for the most part, hates her life. Her sister just wants her out of her way, her mother is just a full-blown drug addict, and perhaps some other things judging from her outfits, and her father is a full-blown drug dealer. For the most part, Mathilda is pretty much just scrapping by. She may act tough as nails, but that doesn't change the fact that she's still a little girl, who just wants to spend her weekends watching cartoons. One day, on a trip to the grocery store, she returns to her once crowded home to find it blown apart and ransacked. Her mother and her sister killed, her father overkilled, and her beloved little brother, the only person in her family who she truly loved, bleeding out dead on the floor. From there, Mathilda pledges revenge, allying herself with her hitman neighbor to strike back at the men responsible. A bulk of the movie is her training and attaining the skills needed to become a hardened assassin, and getting to better know her mysterious neighbor, Leonie. I think for me there are a lot of different things that I pulled from this film, from the incredible intensity of all of its action scenes, to Mathilda's overall relationship with Leonie. In fact, my favorite part of all of these aspects was the connection Mathilda grows for Leonie, a man that initially comes off as very emotionless. Although Leonie wasn't the father who raised her, Mathilda developed an admiration for him stronger than that she had with her own father. I think that's really what it was. All her life, Mathilda was surrounded by men who did nothing but cause pain. Drug dealers, gang members, and even her own father who both emotionally and physically abused her for years. All of the men in her life had done nothing but hurt and neglect her. But Leonie was different. He treated her properly, made sure she had food and a bed. He spoke to her like what she said mattered, and to him it did. And perhaps that explains why she begins to fall in love with the first man who shows her it, even when there's a major age difference. I think another thing to look into is Mathilda's thirst for revenge. Though her initial indifference to the murders of her other family members as opposed to that of her little brother is a bit strange, one needs to understand that the bulk of her family didn't really care about her. Although that does sound harsh, one needs to look at the way everyone treated her in the beginning of the movie. Her sister treated her like a parasite, her mother like a burden that had to be shoved away before starting anything fun, and her father like a stress ball. Her little brother, a 4-year-old, was far too young to participate in any of this, as well as too innocent to even understand it, and perhaps to his benefit, his innocence is what drew his sister to love him so much. To her, he was what she used to be before realizing how cruel the world can be. Her before the abuse, before the neglect that drove her to grow up fast into one filled with bitterness. He was her chance to restart, her chance to give one who resembled her the things in life that she always wanted growing up. And through fate, an evil man killed him with the same anger and brutality that had been haunting her all her life. Leon the Professional is a great action movie, and an even better drama. I loved every second of it. And as a friend of mine pointed out, it gives the watcher everything he or she wants in a movie. Leon the Professional is an amazing and strong 10 out of 10. Thanks for watching, please like, comment, and subscribe.